The twin suns of Tereth 4 hung low on the horizon, bleeding pale light across the training grounds of the Varkon Cadet Dome. Dust shimmered like gold powder in the heated air as the young trainees, all fur, claws, and instinct, loped in coordinated rhythm under the watchful eyes of their drill masters. The pack moved as one, perfect symmetry of muscle and motion, a display of the precision the Varkon Empire prized above all else. Then the airlock opened, and a human walked in. A hush rippled through the dome. The cadets froze mid-motion, fur bristling, tails flicking in unease. Humans were myths here. Soft, furless bipeds from the backwater systems, famous only for dying well in the wars they didn't start. None had been seen in a Varkon training dome in a generation. The stranger stepped forward. Her boots crunched softly against the crystalline dust. She wore no armor, only a gray uniform with the insignia of the Galactic Accord, the loose alliance the Varkon had once been part of before the schism. Her name tag, written in the old trade script, read simply, Lieutenant Commander Mara Lorne. A low growl rolled through the young Varkon ranks. The eldest of them, a dark-furred cadet with an eye patch, bared his teeth. "Why is Prey here?" he snarled. The drill master's tail stiffened, but his voice remained calm. "This Prey, Cadet Corps, is your new xenostrategic instructor. You will treat her with respect. She has seen more wars than you have seen moons." The cadet scoffed but said nothing further. Yet even as the pack retreated into wary silence, something unexpected happened. From behind the ranks, a few cubs, too young to have earned their stripes, still growing into their limbs, broke from formation. They bounded toward the human, yipping and curious, their fur dappled with light. Before the drill master could bark an order, they were at her boots, sniffing her hands, nuzzling her legs with unfiltered joy. And Mara laughed. It was not the sharp bark of a Varkon laugh. It was something else, lighter, almost like a song. She crouched down, running her hands through the cub's warm fur. "Well," she murmured, "at least someone's glad to see me." That was the first moment the Varkon saw her as something other than prey. Chapter 1. The Human Among Predators. Mara Lorne's quarters were small, efficient, and cold. Every night she would sit by the viewport, watching the twin suns fade behind the dust storms, thinking of Earth, a world she had not seen in 15 years. Her mission was clear: integrate Varkon cadets into cooperative fleet training to rebuild trust between their species. What wasn't clear was whether the Varkon even wanted that. The next morning, she entered the training dome with datapads tucked under her arm and the cubs already waiting for her, tails wagging. The older cadets stood apart, suspicious and silent. "Today," she said, "we learn why you fight, not just how." A ripple of confusion passed through the ranks. Fighting was as natural to the Varkon as breathing. It didn't require philosophy. Kor stepped forward, arms folded. "We fight because it is what we are." Mara nodded. "That's what I used to say. Then I lost my squad on Anka Prime. Do you know who I was fighting that day?" Kor's ears flicked. "Humans fought Varkon there." "Not just Varkon," Mara said softly. "We fought ourselves. Every side fought everyone else. And no one even remembered what started it." Her gaze swept the room. "If you don't know why you fight, you'll never know when to stop. And if you never stop, there's nothing left to protect." The cubs listened, eyes wide. Even some of the older cadets looked uncertain. The drill master remained silent, watching. That night, Mara found a claw-scratched note outside her door. "You teach like prey, but you speak like pack." She smiled. Chapter 2. The Simulation Wars. Weeks passed. The cubs adored her, and the cadets tolerated her. But the turning point came during the grand simulation trials. a rite of passage for every trainee. The Varkon believed in battle as education. Their simulators projected entire battlefields, complete with pain feedback and environmental hazards. Mara was not meant to participate. Humans were deemed too fragile for the neural load. But when the drill master announced that she would merely observe, Kor smirked and said, "Prey can watch. Real warriors will fight." She met his gaze. "Let's make it interesting. You lead your unit, I'll lead mine. Same simulation, same parameters." The dome went silent. Challenging a Varkon cadet to his own trial was unheard of. But curiosity outweighed protocol. The drill master approved. Inside the simulator, the world bloomed into being. A fractured moon battlefield, with craters filled with glowing fog and shattered starship husks scattered like bones. Mara's unit, a mix of cubs and two skeptical older cadets, waited for orders. "Listen," she said through the comms, voice calm but firm. "They'll charge. That's their instinct. We can't match their strength, so we use what they don't. Unpredictability." When Kor's pack came barreling over the ridge, howling through the mist, Mara's team didn't hold formation. They scattered, confusing sensors, darting between wreckage, baiting the Varkon into overextension. Then Mara triggered the old human trick, a feedback pulse from the derelict ship's reactor, masking her team's signatures. The Varkon pack charged into what they thought was prey cornered against a crater rim, and fell straight into the trap. By the time the mist cleared, the human team had them surrounded. Simulation lights flashed red. Mission complete. When the visors lifted, Kor's snarl was half frustration, half respect. "You cheated." Mara shrugged. "I adapted." That day, the Varkon learned that prey with strategy could outthink predators with pride. Chapter 3. The Rift. But not everyone admired her success. Word spread fast through the dome, whispers that the human was weakening the warrior spirit of the young. When the High Commander visited, he made no effort to hide his disdain. "This experiment," he growled, "was meant to teach cooperation. Instead, you've turned our cubs into philosophers." Mara stood her ground. "Philosophers survive longer." The commander's tail lashed. "Do not mistake tolerance for acceptance, human. You are a guest here only until we decide otherwise." That night, someone sabotaged the air processors in her quarters. If not for one of the cubs, Tiri, who had taken to sleeping outside her door, she might have suffocated before morning. When she awoke in the medbay, she found Kor waiting. His fur was matted, his single eye hard to read. "It was not my doing," he said. "But many would have let it happen." "Then why didn't you?" He hesitated. "Because the cubs would not forgive me." Mara smiled weakly. "Then maybe there's hope for your kind yet." Kor gave a low growl, not of threat, but something closer to respect. "Do not mistake this for friendship, human. You make us question things we were taught never to question." "Good," she said. "That's where change begins." Chapter 4. The Battle of the Shattered Orbit. Hope came at a cost. Weeks later, the dome received a distress call. A rogue fleet of raiders, Varkon exiles, had entered Taratha's orbit. Their ships were fitted with experimental plasma lances capable of tearing through planetary defense grids. The High Commander ordered all cadets to evacuate to the lower bunkers. Mara refused. "You'll need every trained body you have." "You are not Varkon," the commander growled. "No," she said. "But I trained some." When the first plasma strike hit, the dome shook like a living creature. Mara and the cadets ran to the control deck, rerouting power to the defense turrets. The cubs, now outfitted in emergency gear, followed her every command without hesitation. Kor took the lead on the surface, his pack intercepting landing craft in the ash storms. "You were right," he said over comms. "They fight like beasts. No thought, only rage." "Then think faster," Mara replied. The battle lasted 6 hours. When the last raider gunship fell flaming into the dunes, the dome's defenses were shattered, but Tereth still stood. Mara collapsed from exhaustion, her uniform torn and burned. Around her, cadets gathered in stunned silence. The High Commander arrived, his armor scorched. He looked from the smoking sky to the human who had refused to leave. Then he bowed, a gesture so rare it silenced the entire dome. "Today," he said, "the pack learned a new word, ally." Epilogue. The Cubs remembered months later, when the Galactic Accord reconvened, a message arrived from Tereth 4. Instructor Mara Lorne is hereby granted honorary citizenship within the Varkon Protectorate and recognized as pack sister to the 7th Cadet Dome. A recorded image accompanied it. The Cubs, now wearing their first cadet insignia, gathered around a memorial stone carved with the words, "She taught us to fight with reason, not rage." Mara stood in her transport bay, looking out at the stars. The journey ahead was uncertain. More domes to visit, more species to teach, more bridges to rebuild. But somewhere in the dunes of Tereth 4, the young she'd trained now trained others, their laughter echoing like small suns rising over dust. She touched the scar on her wrist, a reminder from the battle, and smiled. "The Cubs ran to her," she murmured, recalling the first day. And maybe that was the start of everything. As her ship slipped into the void, she whispered a final command to the stars. "Let the pack remember.